Hi BookTube, it's Gina, and I was wanting to come on here and say hello today. I don't have a ton of reading updates to give you, but I wanted to stop by and say hi. So I thought I would do a quick little talk about books as souvenirs. So I don't know about you guys, but I just find that I don't really like to buy souvenirs anymore. Every once in a while I'll buy something, but for the most part, I have a small house. I just don't like a bunch of knickknacks sitting around. So I like to buy books as souvenirs. It's a very fun way to commemorate my travels. And when I look at a book, I always remember where I was, where I bought it, and it just brings back some fun memories. And I never see books as clutter. Sometimes I do need to weed them out because I have too many, but it's just something that I think is a really fun way to commemorate my travels. So I thought today I would just talk about books as souvenirs. And the first book I want to talk about I bought in San Francisco. And if you've watched my neck of the woods tag, you know that San Francisco is the boyfriend that broke my heart, the place that I love, but just don't think I can live in, and I do still like to go back and visit. So I cheat on my beloved Seattle every once in a while by doing some trips to San Francisco. And I've got had some family that live down there. They're no longer there because I think San Francisco broke their hearts too a little bit. But I did do a little day trip there with my sister and her husband, and bless their hearts, they are not bookish people, but the one thing that I wanted to do was go to City Lights Books. And so that is what we did. And the book that I bought there to commemorate that day was Because We Say So by Noam Chomsky. And I did buy some other books there, but this one is the fun one that I wanted to show you. I also love it because it actually was published through City Lights, which is just such a neat idea. And I'm not necessarily a huge Noam Chomsky fan anymore, but I thought this was really interesting. This is the third volume in a set of his essays, and it contains things like who owns the world? Can civilization survive capitalism? What is the common good? And so in this book, he explores those questions, climate change, just some really interesting topics. And I just thought it was, you know me, I love my beautiful covers. So I thought this was a fun book to commemorate my day trip to San Francisco. Secondly, I want to show you, now this might be the funnest place I've ever bought a book ever. This book I bought at Disneyland. Not actually at Disneyland, but there used to be a bookstore downtown Disney, and I may have been the only person that ever bought books there because it obviously went out of business. It's no longer there. I don't know if you can see this book, but this is Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger, and this is a really interesting and fun sort of gothic in story. I don't even want to talk about it because if you ever want to read this, anything you talk about is sort of a spoiler. But read the front, see if it sounds good. But it's sort of a little bit of a I don't even know how to describe it. Let me see if there's something in here. No, I don't even like it. So anyway, this is more about the book than about what the book is about. But I remember going to Disneyland with my sister, staying in a hotel down there. We used to live in that area, so we'd go for day trips fairly often, but this was when we were living far away and would go down and stay overnight and visit. And so I remember laying by the pool and reading this book, and so I will always have that wonderful memory of Disneyland when I look at this book on my shelves. Now the next two books I bought on a trip to Europe, which was actually my very first trip to Europe. I went for my 50th birthday, and my sister is a part-time for fun travel agent, and who knows, maybe someday she'll be able to devote herself to that entirely because she's a great travel agent. She planned a really fun trip for us to celebrate my 50th birthday. And she's not a bookish person, but I dragged her around to a few bookstores in Europe. And so I bought a few fun things there. And the first one is The Pursuit of Italy by David Gilmour. And this book I bought in the train station in Rome, going from Rome on the train up to the Cinque Terre. And this was in September of 2017. And we were not having great weather. Rome was pretty good weather, but we were not having great weather. And so I will always remember, I have this book. We were going back to the Cinque Terre. We just wanted to have a little pool time because Rome was, not pool time, beach time in the Cinque Terre because Rome was so busy and packed and crowded. And we got to the Cinque Terre and we were just, it was raining, it was pouring, it was storming, and we were panicking. We thought we're going to have to spend our whole vacation in the rain. But luckily the next day it opened up and sun came out. We rented chairs on the beach and it was absolutely wonderful. So this is my Roman holiday book. And related to that is this next book, which is The House of Unexpected Sisters. And this one I bought at Shakespeare and Company, and Paris was our very first stop on this same trip. And it was rainy, again, not great weather. We only had 3 days there, but we went to Shakespeare and Company because of course you could not go to Paris. I could not go to Paris as a bookish person and not hit Shakespeare and Company, and they've got their own little stamp that they put in the books. So that was absolutely wonderful. It was a drizzly, rainy day, and we were just trudging around, and it was wonderful. And isn't it wonderful that the book that was out at that time was about sisters? Because I was on that trip with my sister, and so I just will always have such wonderful memories of going to Paris, going to Shakespeare and Company. Don't tell anybody, because whenever I tell people this, they think I'm absolutely bonkers. We were only in Paris for 3 days, but we did one day at Disneyland, because we're big Disneyland fans. One day kind of trudging around, not trudging around the city, that's not the right word. We didn't trudge, but it was drizzly and rainy, and so it was a little bit difficult. But we also did a really fun electric bike tour through the city. Stopped at a couple of small museums, and it was such a fun trip, such a fun trip. So I will always remember that when I look at this book. And then lastly, this is a trip that I made to Santa Barbara in September of 2001, and I think you might know where I'm going with this. So this is the very first Harry Potter. I hadn't really heard about it. I was, of course, an adult at the time. I was on a fun little trip with a friend of mine to Santa Barbara and bought this at the bookstore in Santa Barbara, and I was reading this book, and the fun memory or sad memory of this is that we were actually on an airplane on September 11th, early in the morning, 6 a.m. And we were in Santa Barbara, we were on the plane, we were heading home, and needless to say, we did not make it home. Our plane was grounded. It was September 11th. We didn't know what was going on. We had to debark the plane and go back to the place we were staying. We didn't know if we were going to be able to make it home. I was very nervous about getting home because I was working at the time, and really, obviously, I needed to get back. So we ended up getting the very last rental. We got a truck, and we ended up driving home. It's a long 20-hour drive. So this book is always going to remind me of that trip, my very, very good friend that I was on that trip with, and the September 11th tragedy. But this is just a fun memory of that trip. So that is it. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to say hi and hope you are all doing well. Bye.